Oh, Hattie. Now that I've put 15,000 miles on this gear, I figured I'd go ahead and give you all an update on how it's holding up. Now bear in mind, I was using this gear a lot harder than it was ever intended in ways that you normally don't do for good longevity of gear. During the Iron Butt Rally, it was pretty normal for me to be wearing the same stuff 2 or 3 days straight, non-stop, sleeping on picnic tables, wearing the gear, not taking the time to air it out if I got caught in a rain squall and stuff like that. That stuff is really tough on gear, especially boots and gloves. Same thing goes for the certifications I did for the Iron Butts Association. I've done 3 different runs with them. It's pretty normal to wear your stuff non-stop for 24 hours without ever taking it off. That's also not very good on the gear. But with that in mind, I'm going to go over all the adventure gear stuff that I went over in my earlier video, and let's get started. We'll start with the boots. Boots are made by Rev'It. They did a good job. These boots held up really well. I'm pretty pleased with them. They turned out they were fine for walking. I walked around in them non-stop. I wore them through the whole Iron Butt Rally. It was only about 4 or 5 times during the entire rally I took them off for any length of time. Wore them wet, wore them dry, wore them hiking out in the Mojave Desert. These things worked fine. Very comfortable to wear, very waterproof. They protected my legs real good from a couple of different things. There was quite a few times I felt stuff kicked up into my shins from the road, and I felt it, but didn't hurt in the slightest. Didn't mark up the boots either. The bike does get hot. It blows the heat directly on your legs, especially when you get up over 100 degrees and you're stuck in traffic. You can get really high. These things completely protected my legs from that heat. I didn't feel it at all. I felt it up on the inside of my thighs that are way above the boots, but the boots themselves that are right in the direct heat insulated it perfectly. The slips are good non-grip for walking off-road. They worked perfectly indoors in gas stations when I came in soaking wet and was walking out on the linoleum floor. Great, no complaints at all. I've had that problem with other riding boots before. When you get them wet, you come into the gas station and you start sliding all over the place. These things, no problem. There is one issue that I had with them fairly quick, and that is the boots, these insoles. The little cover right here separated away almost immediately and wrinkled up. I just pulled these things off and shoved them in my pockets and didn't really pay attention after that. It's not really what I consider a major issue to me because I intend on replacing these with better insoles anyways. As far as the boots themselves, they held up real well. Good, waterproof, protected me. They held up real good in all kinds of different weather, especially hot weather. Soles show almost no wear at all. Very grippy off-road. The only wear point that I really found with them, here on the left boot, on the top right here. That's from the shift lever. That's from the continually upshifting and downshifting in traffic. It's starting to wear, starting to come apart, but it's still waterproof. It's not leaking in the boot. It's an irritating thing. It's more a looks thing than anything else, and I'll probably put some shoe goo on it or something just to cover it up. All in all, Lowe's, I'm really, really pleased with these boots. I'm going to keep them until I wear them out. Next thing is the gloves. Okay, for the most part, I'm pretty satisfied with these gloves. They do everything they were supposed to. They're not waterproof, but they were never supposed to be waterproof. They let the air go in through fine. No wear, no significant problems with them at all. I generally like them. The only issue I had with them was after 11 days of non-stop riding, the palms of your hands start getting a little bit sensitive, and there is absolutely no padding whatsoever on the bottom of it. The grips on the Pan America have no padding either, and the no padding and no padding, after 11 straight days of riding, it was starting to really wear on the hands, so I quit wearing these just because of the pain factor. Overall, these gloves did exactly what they were supposed to. I like them. I'm going to keep using them a lot. These gloves I wore during most of the rally. It was okay all the way up to the point where I got caught in that heavy rain. Then they became a serious issue. These gloves are not waterproof, not even slightly. In fact, these gloves are more like a sponge than anything else. They soaked up the water real fast. It got inside, it got in the linings, and once that happened, every time I pulled my hand out, fingers would come out with it. The gloves were a little bit too clumsy to use in the credit card machines. So every time I had to refill, I had to stop, had to pull off a glove, refill it, then fight with the glove to get it back on again because different fingers came out in different ways. It slowed me down and that kind of got old. In good weather, these are great gloves. They do have padding in the palms, and after my hands started getting numb from the other gloves and it started physically hurting, I swapped over to these. These work great for that. There was a couple of times when I had to get up under the bike and move it around where I was scraping my knuckles on the ground. Protected my knuckles perfectly, no problems like that. Fortunately, none of the gravel that got thrown up by the construction trucks hit these. They actually did hit the hand shields, those little flimsy guards, and bounced off in weird, strange directions and such. These gloves, I'm going to use them for fair weather only, but if there's any chance of rain, I'm not going to wear them. They're not worth my time in the rain. That's where I sit as far as the gloves go. Finally, the pants and jacket. Overall, I'm pretty happy with them. I'll start with the pants. Wore them the whole time. They worked good. The only real issue I had with them was that I got them a little bit large and they kept riding down. Unfortunately, like everything else, the suspenders that are supposed to go with these are back ordered. They're still back ordered. I've got a notification set up that as soon as they're available from Rev'It, or Harley-Davidson, I'm going to get an email notification. I'm going to get the suspenders for these. The suspenders will make these things perfect. They held up really good. However, if you take a close look at this, you'll see there's a little bit there. I'm not exactly sure when and how I did this. I know I did it during the Iron Butt rally because I noticed it after my big fall down in the Mojave. I don't know if this was from that, or I don't know if this is from a different time when I was muscling the bike around and I laid my leg up against the exhaust pipes. One way or the other, I kind of melted it or wore it down. It looks more like melting than wearing down. This is the outside of the pants up here. It should never have contacted anyway, so I'm thinking it must have been when I got on the left side of the bike and was pushing it up one time. I must have leaned up against the exhaust pipes. This is in the pocket area only. It doesn't actually go to the inside, so it doesn't affect it. Probably just going to take some duct tape, put it on the inside of the pants. That'll protect anything I happen to stick in there, although honestly I don't tend to put stuff in there. This knee section here, it's a really tiny spot. It also doesn't go all the way through, so it doesn't affect the integrity of the pants at all either. I don't know how that happened, but it happened. Other than that, I'm really pleased with the pants. This inside area here, I know I leaned it up against the exhaust pipes once or twice, or at least the exhaust pipe shield. Didn't phase it, didn't damage it. This side here, I put my leg up against the pipe one time by accident. I had my right foot up on the crash bar because my legs were getting pretty cramped from the seating position. I leaned this part up against the pipe. Now it got to the point where I started feeling the heat in my leg. That meant the heat came all the way through the suit and all the way through the boot to the side of my calf before I felt the heat, and I pulled it back. So this was probably from sitting there at least 5 or 10 minutes before it melted this far. Really, it's just supposed to be a guard in case you brush up against it. It's not supposed to be a long-term thing. So overall, I think that actually is pretty good performance. I'm keeping the pants. Once I get the suspenders for them, I think they're going to be perfect for everything I need. Down to the jacket. Jacket worked good most of the time. It worked good as far as protection. It worked good as far as knocking off the rocks and stuff that the construction trucks have been dropping everywhere and getting thrown up in you. That's where the entire United States must be in the middle of construction right now, because I don't think I hit a state where I didn't get stuck in construction zones or behind dump trucks full of gravel. It was comfortable, well protected. When I had my fall down in Mojave, this left side protected me. Doesn't really show any of the effects of the fall, even though I went down pretty hard and got pinned under the bike. There is one issue I had with it, and the issue I had was as much me as it is the gear. Okay, I was running with the rain guard in it for the first half of the rally. And then I got stuck in traffic a couple of times where I don't know what temperature it was, but the thermometer on the bike seemed to be maxed out at 120 degrees. I've never seen it go above 120 on the bike, so I think it just gets up to a certain point and stops counting. But with this jacket, and you're not moving, and you have that rain guard on the inside, it gets incredibly hot, horribly hot. So when I got the chance, I went and I pulled out the rain liner, and then that made a world of difference as far as unzipping the vents, letting the air go through. It made a huge world of difference when you got slowed down and you're in, 5-mile-an-hour traffic or less. But there's a downside to that. In the third leg of the rally, I had not put the rain liner in it, and I was kind of relying on the rain gear that I had in the saddlebag in case I needed it. I got hit by an absolutely freak rainstorm in northern New Mexico. Here where it was when we left that part of the country, it was way over 100. We came back and I got absolutely soaked to the bone in mid-50s weather in an absolute pouring storm. This jacket, without the rain liner, is not in any way at all waterproof. But they never said it was. The water just went straight through. If you have the vents open, like I happened to have when they suddenly got hit, the vents will scoop the water inside the jacket and just chill you to the bone. That is not really a problem with the jacket, that's a problem with planning. As soon as the temperatures went back down, I should have checked on the weather up ahead. I just really wasn't thinking heavy rainstorms in the middle of the desert, in the middle of a drought. But, that's the Iron Butt Rally. Overall, I do like the jacket. I'm going to keep the jacket. I'm going to wear it all the way till it's done. Once it's worn out, I don't know. I'll have to take a look at what's available. I might stick with it. I might get another one from Rev'It. I might go over to Klim. We'll have to see. So overall, I'm pretty happy with the gear. The gear did exactly what it was supposed to. I put the gear through a lot more abuse than it was ever intended. And it's held up well over 15,000 miles of rally use. That's it. I'm still working on trying to formulate my 15,000 mile review on the Pan Am itself. I want to do a good job of it. The bike is an amazing bike. The bike is also a very unique bike. There's a lot of stuff I've been hearing about it that is just wrong on the message boards and Facebook and such, which is to be expected. But there's also some strange things with it that you really ought to know before you get started on it, deciding whether or not you want to do it as an adventure bike. Personally, I love the thing. I do not regret getting it in the slightest. There's just a few things I need to change on it, and as soon as something becomes available for it, I plan on changing it. But that'll be the next video. Catch y'all later. Be safe and have fun.